Meeting. Today is Monday, February the 12th. Please rise, put your hand over your heart, and join us at our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. We do have some extra chairs on that side.
And there's 4 right up front. It's like church, the back always goes on first.
Fiscal officer will take the roll.
Canton.
Here.
Kavanaugh is absent. Grabicki.
Here.
Porter.
Here.
Bell.
Here.
Berger.
Here. We have minutes of the January 22nd special council meeting. Any changes or corrections in the minutes?
Move to approve.
Moved by Porter, seconded by Canton. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are passed. Bell abstained. We have minutes from our regular council meeting on Monday, the 22nd. Any changes or corrections in the minutes? Moved by Canton, seconded by
Second.
Porter. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Abstained? Okay. Bye. We're at our visitor section, and I don't think you're here to talk about the Super Bowl. Carrie Slots. Carrie, you signed up to speak, so you have the floor. For all of you, you should have picked up an agenda. I know there's still some floating around. On the back of the agenda, it talks about section 220.02 of the codified ordinance of the Village of South Russell. I'll basically say, this is how we do things. We give anybody who wants to speak, we give them 5 minutes. After 3 minutes, I'll stick 2 fingers up to let you know you're getting near the end. So what we'd like you to do is stand, give your name and address, and then begin speaking. After your 5 minutes, I'll say thank you very much. Please be seated. If you have questions or comments that need to be addressed, we'll probably schedule a different time unless it's something very easy to answer. So, Carrie, you signed up to speak. The floor is yours. Name and address, please.
Okay, I'm Carrie Schloss. I live at 290 Hickory Hill Road. And I live just over the border from South Russell. But I am a Gurney parent. I have a kid in preschool at Gurney, and we bike to school every day. And so I'm biking up Bell every day. And so I'm very, very interested in making that route safer. And I really appreciate that you guys have been in conversation about this and having that survey go out about safer crossings and paths along Bell. And I heard that you would be talking with an engineer today about a study on that. And so that's why we're here. In support of that and to hear the outcome of that. And I just hope that we're able to continue considering this along Bell Road to make sure that it's safe for students and families and residents. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Since it came up, we looked at and are still looking at 3 different issues. One was crosswalks. A crosswalk going from Sugar Bush across the street to Gurney. The other is a crosswalk going from the park to Alderwood, so that people could simply cross there. Those are the 2 crosswalks. Those are probably going to run about, I think they're about $40,000 each. And it's a process if we're going to do something like that. We haven't taken any action, we've just looked into it. We've also talked about sidewalks. Frankly, I was underwhelmed when we sent out a survey in the newsletter. We only heard from 8 people. We had a special council meeting and we only had 6 people. I expected a big crowd to talk about crosswalks, sidewalks, and paths. But after the special council meeting, which is in January, somebody put it on social media and the chief has been bombarded with over 280 comments, which makes us wonder about our newsletter, the effectiveness of our newsletter. So that's something we're also thinking about. And then the third issue is the idea of a path. A path along Bell. We did everything we could along Bell in 2014. You normally want a 48-inch path. We basically got 40 inches. A path that you see in the metro parks, you're asking for 10 feet of somebody's yard for a path. And if you want to do a path from, say, the gas station to the park, you only have about 4 houses that you're going to do about. You do have a stream, you do have some guardrails, so there's some real issues there. Now, what we are trying to get is a flavor for the community before we spend thousands of dollars on engineering and legal fees to determine, do we really want to do a path and will the path be effective? And that's just assuming the simplest is like from the gas station to the park. The people that live on the south side of Bell may say, no, I don't want a path down my yard. The third issue we've talked about is sidewalks. People have talked about they want sidewalks. Those can easily be organized and done, but at a cost. The comment that we heard at the special council meeting basically came out of the Rolling Ridge neighborhood, and I see most of you are Rolling Ridge. To do something like that, if it came down to a vote of the community, I don't think it would pass. But what if Rolling Ridge is really interested in doing something like that, you can create what's called a SID. It's a special improvement district where you would go together and you would formally go to us. We would go to the auditor and say, these people in this neighborhood want to raise their property taxes to put in sidewalks. Now, a SID is being used in Chagrin Lakes for their dam. 11 people share a dam that at one point was going to cost them $400,000. So they formed a SID. Manor Brook Gardens formed a SID because they have drainage issues. And they came to us. We went to the auditor. The auditor is going to raise their taxes. Similar, if some of you lived here long, is when sewers came through. Nobody wants to write a check for $30,000 for sewers. Nobody wants to write a check for $10,000 for sidewalks. And that's just I'm just throwing out $10,000 because that's what Chagrin Falls is looking at. We've talked to the mayor of Pepper Pike because Pepper Pike went through an issue with sidewalks. It passed by 65% of all the people voting, but it's a different community. They have a lot more land. Talked to the mayor of Orange and they had the usual, I don't want to say the usual, the political upheaval, signs and unhappiness and people, neighbors against neighbors. So we're trying to do our due diligence. We've even gone so far as talk to Bike Cleveland about the color of paint that we would put down for crosswalks or sidewalks. So we're trying to do our due diligence before we spend a lot of your money. So that kind of tells where we are now. Nothing has been done. It's been discussed in committees, but council has not, we haven't turned the engineer or the solicitor on this. We haven't requested proposals. We're trying to get a feel. Frankly, I'm shocked that you're all here. We knew we had one person coming, but I'll say welcome, and I'm going to stop talking. Who would like to speak? Sir, you first. Name and address.
Jerry Pennant, 117 Countryside Drive. One of the questions I have about specifically sidewalks or pathways would be, is there already some sort of a master plan for South Russell as a community where there is a design criteria, a design concept in improving usability with walking, cycling, supporting the businesses up here at this corner. So is there some sort of a concept in place, or has that been done? Because I'd love to see anything that we talk about funding fit into a master plan. For instance, if South Russell is just going to continue to be a four-way intersection with a gas station, a couple little stores, village hall, if that's what we're going to be, then we do things ad hoc. We add a little here, we add a crosswalk there, whatever. If there's really a concept to turn this into a more vibrant community with access to the stores, supporting the businesses so people can ride their bikes or walk to them instead of getting in their cars and going some other place. If we want to stop the crazy traffic jam we get at Gurney just about every day of the week, you guys all know what I'm talking about. If I lived around there, I sure wouldn't want to be breathing that much smog. I mean, that's like living in the city, right? So if we've got something in place to do that, then I'd love to see us work, those that want paths, crosswalks, whatever, work within the framework of that. That's all I want to say.
I can respond. No, there is not a master plan for growth. We do have a master plan for the park, and that was simply for what goes into the park. Are you scratching your head? Next.
So my name is Rich Bistritz from Daisy Lane. And the people of Rollins, thank you for coming. I appreciate it. So Bill, my question is the orange system, that's a really nice sidewalk they put in. So how did those guys pay for that?
Basically Pinecrest. It was how,
Okay.
in a short one word, Pinecrest.
That's an easy answer.
Yeah, that was easy. I don't know how Pepper Pike's paying for it, but I do know it, as I said, it passed by 65%. One thing I forgot to say, we did have a request also for a crosswalk basically on East Washington to cross near the restaurants. At this point in time, we're not really thinking about that. But again, we're just gathering information, trying to get a pulse of what the community wants. Next.
And just a point of information, the sidewalks, there is a provision in the Ohio Revised Code, the law which governs Ohio, on the costs of sidewalks, whether it's construction, repair, etc. And it spells out that the costs are generally borne by the property owners. And usually it's all assessed by how much property frontage you have per your sidewalk. So the issue being is that oftentimes, and the mayor alluded to it, when you get the community to try and come to an agreement, you have the folks who like to have a sidewalk but have no skin in the game in terms of costs, that to them it's a great idea. Oftentimes you have people on fixed incomes that have been there for 30, 40 years. They are faced with a $10,000 assessment, and it's a little bit different scenario. So that's the difficulty in getting consensus in the community. The mayor also alluded to the fact that, with paths, you have width requirements. And that's not spelled out in the Ohio Revised Code, but it is spelled out by the Ohio Department of Transportation. Believe it or not, paths fall under their cognizance. And minimal requirements, they have to be ADA accessible. Minimal requirements, I think, are 11 feet in width, with 2 feet of clearance from trees and other obstructions on either side of the path. So, there are considerations, and that's a sizable chunk for those people who say, well, let's call them paths instead of sidewalks, but there are a lot of logistics difficulties with taking that path, especially down Bell, and eating up 11 feet of somebody's property. So therein lies some of the underlying things. There are codes, there are guidelines by which the community has to follow. We can't just say, well, we'll call it a path and we'll make it 3 feet wide and that'll satisfy everybody. Unfortunately, we can't operate that way. So we do have to follow the guidelines that the state provides for us, but there's some of the underlying issues. It's not included in a master plan, but there are some constraints from which the village has to work with.
Thank you.
Sir, yes, you're next.
Mitch Herman, 52 Daisy Lane. So I have a couple comments, and I think that the first thing of order is honestly is the safety. Obviously, nobody can deny safety for kids or whatever, but the reality of life. But we all moved out here. I mean, I've been coming out to South Russell since I was 15 years old and lived in University Heights, rode my bike out here all the time. Honestly, friends that lived down Daisy. I'm out Bell on the other side of 306. And, no problems. My parents didn't, maybe it was a different time, but I was riding my bike wherever and I didn't have any issues. Now, there is a bike lane there, I think, that they had put in. Is that correct, on Bell?
Yes.
Maybe it needs to be, again, recolored or whatever, but, I don't deny the sidewalks are important, but putting, you talk about sidewalks, it's not just a sidewalk. It's like, as you said, everybody that bears, if it's gonna be on Daisy or Bell, bears the cost of that. You have, maybe there's 30 people on Daisy or 40 people on Daisy, and then all those houses in Bell that have to bear the cost of fixing it, of, upkeep and everything, but it's not that. So what about the infrastructure underneath it? How much property does the road have to be widened because of that? Is there a certain minimum that the road has to be from the center to the edge? It's not a very wide road anyways, we know that. So what happens to that? And again, all the buried electrical that we have, or who knows what. So many other things, all the water issues that we will have after we put that in. Because you guys have to figure out what to do with the water that's there now, right? So there's gonna be significant costs. I'm gonna tell you that I talked to a lot of people, I don't know if we're here because we think it's a great idea, maybe in someone's mind it is, but honestly, I'm vehemently against this. I just think it's not why we moved out to this area. If we wanna walk on sidewalks, we'll walk in Michigan Falls. We still, support the businesses around here because that's what we do. Local business is important, but I don't, again, I feel like it's such an extreme cost to everybody. I think we need to figure out the safety of our kids somehow, whether it's a crosswalk or making things a little more signage wise, just, I know you guys do the best you can. Obviously, and we appreciate that, but
Thank you.
they don't, people don't stop anyways. That's just a fact. We know, we walk on Daisy all the time, but we walk Daisy to the other side, or we walk, my wife and I run. So we're just in the neighborhood a lot. We just are careful. We just think it's again, the cost would be astronomical to us and the burden for us people that have to deal with the sidewalk that's on our side. It'd be crazy.
Okay, Bill.
Hang on, Rich, we'll keep this, everybody have one.
I just wanted to say, we have
Yeah,
never met.
pardon me.
Oh, Donnell, Richard, I live in Dayton, Woodside. But I agree with him 100%. I would, in many places, in my lifetime, if I wanted to live in a neighborhood that had sidewalks and a school that I could walk to, we did, and then maybe we could live like that. Everybody that lived here bought these homes as they are, and this is how it is. Nobody stops at the stop signs. Would you ever put a crosswalk on Bell when the speed limit's 45 miles an hour and think someone's gonna stop? Never. I wouldn't do it. So, I'm not gonna stop. I wouldn't send my children out to school across Bell Street at a crosswalk. If there's something that maybe a light should be there if you think it's that important, but I just think there's other places, if you need sidewalks, and there's neighborhoods that have sidewalks and schools. My children are all grown, but I do have 11 grandchildren, and they all function between Penson and St. Anselm's and all these schools, and they're functioning, so I don't think sidewalks is the answer, but maybe it's lower speed limits.
Well, Bell Road's 35.
Yeah, but by the time it turns to 35, people are already going 50, at 45 before they slow down. And you do, I see, because I went to jog, I'm out in the front yard all the time, no, I never got in my life. And I watch everyone go through stop signs, and I watch the police sitting there following them, but they're still doing it,
We,
you know, so-
we do write a lot of
Yeah.
tickets over there,
Right.
and we're trying our best.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you're not, I'm just saying that people that are driving 45, that is, you know you go to 50, probably 45, 50.
God, I hope not.
And then you're seeing the 35 speeding on another speed limit after you're already past the,
Where are you coming from?
well, you're on Washington, you're on Washington, and you're going 45, and then there's 35, but
Okay,
it's
so
all.
you're talking about Washington, you're not talking about that.
No,
Okay,
they're both fast,
yep,
if you're having a cross.
that was 35, East Washington Street is 35,
Yeah,
so 35,
well, it's 45 up.
correct, in
just
Bainbridge.
before-
in
Yeah, just
Bainbridge,
before you
yeah.
get to our streets, let's put it that way. So,
right.
then it's going down, but I don't know that I would trust the crosswalk, that's all I'm saying. You know?
Fine, next. Brian, address?
20 Woodside, some of this is repetitive, but I do support the crosswalks. I think it's important to make it safe for the children. It's a little bit disappointing because sometimes in the morning you see people not paying attention to the school zone in Front Kearney. Not as much as they do in public high school, so I think it's kind of important. I'm sure you guys struggle with that all the time.
It is, and we're at the school for arrival and dismissal, so there's a period of time where officers are actually on the campus, and sometimes we have to run out
Right.
direct traffic.
Right.
So yeah, our hands are a little tied in the morning sometimes, but, yeah.
Yes.
And the other element to all of this is distracted drivers. You know, the phones, they're slamming into each other all over the place. Everybody's just rear-ending each other. Our accidents have gone up quite a bit, and it's mostly due to distracted driving. So in the event we have an accident that we are taking a report, we are citing the driver at fault every time. So we're doing our best, and sometimes this kind of thing is just, it's getting away from everybody, distracted driving.
Claiming my time. So I just want to remind everybody about the deed restrictions in the Rolling Ridge area. So I would rely on maybe the solicitor to look it up for them, but there are some deed restrictions. And this is just stuff I heard on the kitchen table, so I know that they think that ditches have to be maintained in some fashion. And that just ties right into the stormwater drainage issue that you guys spend so much time, so much money on. So, and I hope we can keep it ditches. Right? Personally, my property, I spend, I forget how much, but it doesn't make any difference, or it does. I put in a ditch to collect the water upstream from where I live, and it just goes right down the way and collects into the ditch. Going north on the other side, so it's nice to see that that stuff is there. So, and by the way, Rolling Ridge is called Rolling Ridge because up along the corner of Deerfield, Daisy, yeah, there's actually a ridge there. If you look at the topographical map, by the way. So there's, yeah. And the cost is about $9 a square foot. So just kind of keep that in mind. And also in the deed restrictions, I think, this kind of needs to be checked. Again, I just heard about this and I'm not sure, I really sat down and read my deed. Heard from my mother and maybe my dad. But there was supposed to be a path maintained in the neighborhood. So I don't know what that means, like around this perimeter of the neighborhood or something, but it's there, or I've heard about it, and it might help. Thanks.
For those of you that may not know, Brian's father developed Rolling Ridge. Okay, next. Yes.
Hi, Kelly Estes, 26 Kimberwick Court. I just am excited to hear so many thoughts and opinions from the community. I think anybody would be at disservice in a community to not weigh all the options with an expensive project that's potentially going to change the infrastructure. So I think that just brings me back to the survey and the special council meeting. And I was wondering if there's any thought about how we can better advertise that. Because I think if we waited in this room, I didn't know about it. I would love to have been there. And I think the survey really needs to get better distributed. I think I personally sent it out to my whole HOA neighborhood. I've been trying to spread word of mouth, but everybody I talk to has an opinion on this, and I love it, and it's great energy. But we need to formulate that into options for people. And I love the idea of a phased plan. You know, it can be as simple as crosswalks, it can be as advanced as multifaceted approach to crosswalks and paths and sidewalks, but I would really like to organize the community's thoughts better.
Thank you. I think were you here at the beginning? When I spoke about the newsletter or the lack of, I mean, we sent out a newsletter and we got, as I said, 8 responses, so it's something we'll have to take a look at. And I would imagine that eventually when we come down with some ideas that we can really talk about, we'll probably end up doing it like a Gurney meeting. Say, okay, here's what we are proposing to bring it out to people. But we got to decide, the council has to decide, when are we going to make the move to turn the engineer and the solicitor use to say, this is what we're going to do, and this is the proposal, because then we're starting to spend money.
Does the survey have an endpoint? Is there a date when it closes?
No, we didn't.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, next. Sir.
George States, 21 Daisy Lane. First, I wanted to say that my wife and I moved here in 1980 to get away from the city and such things as sidewalks. We are completely and unalterably opposed to sidewalks, might even say fervently. We often walk on Daisy Lane daily in better weather. One of the things I would say about Daisy Lane is that's, as somebody mentioned, it's a narrow road. There are a great number of drainage issues. I imagine we'll find that putting sidewalks in there in any event is not an easy task. It's very problematic because of the drainage and the lay of the land along Daisy Lane. As far as safety goes, I wanted to say that we very much appreciate the stop signs and the speed sign that have been installed rather recent years. I think that's done a lot of good. However, in our walks, one of the things we noticed is that there are a number of people that simply ignore the stop sign altogether. And whereas most people go at reasonable speed, there are the occasional people that just roar up and down Daisy Lane at tremendous speed. So I would point that out to the chief here and say that there are some tickets to be had on Daisy Lane from time to time. As far as the crosswalks go, I don't have any comment on that. Crosswalks for people who want to cross Bell Road or even Washington Street might not be a bad idea. Thanks.
Thank you. Next. Yes.
I'm Deb Gretschko. I'm at 35 Woodside. We've lived here for 33 years and our taxes just went up like immensely. It's hard to want to vote for anything that's going to raise your taxes more. A lot of our community is more mature. I mean, not to say that people don't have kids, but a lot of people are on fixed incomes. And like a lot of other people here, we moved from Cleveland Heights. We moved here to be in a rural community with great schools, which is what we have, and thankful for that. But being on a fixed income and like, I understand about feeling not as safe on Daisy Lane walking because it's narrow. We had a dog. But people were very respectful of if you have a dog and you're walking on the side, they go way around you. I mean, but I did at the end sort of limited our walks to Woodside and Forest, which is very, that's a nice place to walk too. As far as crosswalks at the school at Bell, I don't know how many people are letting their kids walk to school. Like I go that way a lot. I don't see a lot of kids walking or like most people I think just drive their kids. And as far as who we are as a community, I mean between Chagrin Falls and South Russell, it's maybe 7 square miles of we're small, we're really, really small. I don't know what's gonna happen with South Russell, but we're not there yet. Like, we don't have a bustling town, you know what I mean? We are what we are. We can address those issues always going forward in the future, but this is where we are now. And, I mean, I don't know how much of a problem it is, but I know that the tax bill we just got hit with is gigantic for us. And not, like, we're like, oh my God, seriously. So, but we love it here, and where are we gonna go? We love it, so I just don't see a lot of people walking up and down Bell or even I mean, I'm not a bike person, so maybe I'm a little bit not as, well versed in that, but, that's pretty much it. I'm very opposed to anything that would raise our taxes, and I don't think the sidewalks are necessary.
Thank you. Yes.
Lisa Beretta, 19 Daisy Lane. We have arguably the longest stretch of frontage of Daisy. And we also have a direct view of the stop sign that is on the property. And I have no problem with adding the stop sign. I would like to commend you. You guys do a very good job in a difficult situation of sometimes having a car there. I've noticed it doesn't drive right now. Part of our part of our entertainment is watching those blue lights, so you are picking up people. And I would say that over time, other than those late for work in Cleveland Clinic, more people are respecting the stop signs. And it would seem to me that an awful lot of the evildoers of running the stop signs are in fact distracted driving. But we have a dog. She walks all the way around the block. Yes, I agree that most drivers, if you have a dog, people not so much, but if you have a dog, they're very respectful, slow down, pull around. So, we are not in favor of sidewalks for multiple reasons. Having grown up in this area and ridden bikes here in Bell when I was a kid and through Rolling Ridge, apparently I made it okay. But the distracted driving is, I'm glad to hear that you're cracking down on that, because that seems to me to be one of our biggest issues.
Sure it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
This is
Yes.
Ryan Macy. I moved into Sugar Lakes just under 2 years ago. And the reason we got our house is because it's the only one we could afford in the area. It's not as simple as buying a house. It's already in a walkable community. It's already right next to the perfect school for your kids. We did the best we could because that's all we could offer. We moved here from a neighborhood in Virginia, had great access to multi-use trails. It was fantastic. In under half a mile, I could hit a trail and then ride for 40 miles without any traffic. It was wonderful. I love that the kids there, I love that I could get myself there. We could bike, we could run, we could walk. In the past year, I've been almost struck by cars in my own little neighborhood at least 6 times. When walking my dog, when out with the kids, when running by myself. There isn't a shoulder on the roads in our neighborhood. There's a little bit more on Bell, but the reason we don't walk on Bell is because, like you said, it's a narrow road. And as you said, people drive way too fast there. You're right, it's not safe to be there, and that's why you don't see anyone walking. That's why you don't see many people biking, except for my friend Gary. And occasionally, and Kelly, sorry, my new friend Kelly. Yes, I run down Bell. I don't like it, but I do. Because it's the only way to get some of the trails in our parks. We need better access. We need more safety for our kids. I will let my kids ride their bikes in our neighborhood unless I'm right with them, because I've been almost killed so many times in the past year. If they don't feel safe there, there's no way we're gonna go down Bell until it's safer on Bell.
Thank you. Anybody else? Rich, you wanted to speak? Did you want to go round two?
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, I can add something.
Well, yes, sir.
Danny Oaks, 27 Garden Park Drive. Immigrated here from the Netherlands 5 years ago. If you don't know what the Netherlands is, it doesn't matter. But Google Central Station Amsterdam bike parking, and you'll get the idea. Being new to this country, I respect the rules and the layout. What I can say from my experience, if you move, like physically move, to and from work, from your kids, through whatever, it makes a big difference in your life. You look like this. But no, it adds it adds good value to your life, health, and it invests in your kids too, because kids can go independent. They're not, mom and dad, or I don't know, get on your bike, get to your, to your grandma, get to your friends. Yes, there's a cost, absolutely. The one thing is, what you see a lot in the Netherlands is that people bike for fun. What people do when they bike for fun, they stop at the restaurant, they go sit outside in the sun, they order a cup of coffee, they order something. Chicken Falls in this area with, the old railroad lines that are abandoned, like, whoa, there's a good opportunity there. It's not an instant payoff. But in the long run, yes, if you put yourself on the map, that's something that people will come to, and the money will come in many ways, health or, anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Mike. All right, last call there. You want to go again?
Stacy,
Yes, sir.
I was just going to add, shortly after we started walking around Daisy Lane, and we typically try to walk quite a while, a mile or more, we went over here, not very far away from here, and got ourselves some of those orange and yellow, and they also have green fluorescent safety vests. And to anybody who walks around here anywhere, I would highly recommend those. We've had a number of people that even passed us that have commented on that and said, I'm glad you were wearing your safety vest, because like you said, there are people that are distracted, and I think that helps a great deal, them seeing it. So that's something I would recommend to anybody who walks around here at any time, or probably bikes too.
Thank you. We have safety committee looking into crosswalks. We have a street committee looking into paths and sidewalks. They meet once a month. It'll be on the agenda. And I would say keep an eye, and we will find a better way to let you know what's happening and let you know what we're thinking. And we'll definitely let you know. We will not take, we don't just, you're not going to read it in the Seguin Valley Times, we voted and we're going to do this, we're going to do that. You're going to know ahead of time, you're going to have a chance to be here. I do thank you. The idea of a master plan may be something now that, that we should do. I thank you all for being here. The meeting will go on at least another hour. So, and this is a good time that, say thank you and good night, if you'd like to say thank you and good night.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
We have,
Good to see you. Tell them I said hi.
Yeah.
You haven't changed your phone.
both of them on the road. Okay, we're at the mayor's report. First thing, we joined NOCCA. There's a group, you've got the Northeast Ohio City Council Association, Their first big event is Thursday, February the 22nd. I think we pay like $400, $500 dues. So I did attend their first event, which is very nice, but if you're interested, make sure you get that done. The normal hazmat yearly meeting took place in Solon. Just to refresh you, I have the fancy, very nicely done report. We are one of 20 communities. We serve 32 different communities. It costs us $3,500 a year. And basically, the situation that occurred up in Russell Township where the truck overturned, that was the typical hazmat situation. And if that had happened to us without hazmat, we would have been in a lot of trouble. But having all these different communities with us to help us out really is a good thing. So I'll just give this around, it's our annual report. I did hear from two people on the real estate taxes. And basically it was just, I guess the thing that kind of surprised me is that, I'm thinking personally what I saw as an increase and what other people saw as increases. Some people got hit 20, 25%. Other people, it's 8 to 10%. So it's just, I guess it is what it is. And I think we did everything we could do as a council to cushion the blow with probably 14 to 15% of our people on fixed income. I thought it was a very nice thing what we did. We're not invited yet this year to go to Washington, D.C. by David Joyce. Mayors were invited, so those things I think are coming back. And they're usually a very interesting 24 hours. And it's just interesting to be with people from other communities. So this is something to be ready for. If it comes in June, we may just get a short notice, but it's maybe something you want to consider someday, is to go on to Washington, D.C. to hear David Joyce. Some of the times you get to hear some excellent speakers, both senators. One year we got to hear both senators come, and we had some pollsters talk about their polling business, and you get to see D.C., which is just this wonderful city. So that could be coming up. State government issues are coming up. The big issue I think is going to hit is going to be on the police and fire pensions as to what's going to happen there. And the Ohio Municipal League fiscal officer put in the information about the Montrose Group. They're going to be asking $250 to help pay for lobbying, because there are some communities that cannot really handle an increase in the retirement for their police and fire. We're very fortunate. Okay, we need a motion to talk about committee assignments and committee appointments. Now, while we do that, can we also then determine how and when those meetings? So for example, building committee, what are you guys doing? Building committee, do you know yet? Can you tell us what we're going to do?
Yes, we'll be meeting the second Wednesday of each month at 8 a.m. at the building department. And our next meeting will be this Wednesday.
And that is Canton and Porter.
Correct.
Okay, finance committee, what are you doing? Can you say yet? I don't want to put you on the spot.
We're going to try it's the third Thursday of the month at 7:30 a.m. No?
Well, then your minutes won't be in your council packet.
Oh, because.
We have to have a meeting to
Sorry.
discuss when we're gonna have our schedule, I think.
Okay, no, then we cannot yet announce when our meetings are going to be.
You know what you could do a blanket to say it'll be after the first meeting first? Well, okay, all right. so finance.
I'll back off at this point.
All right. HR committee.
Have no idea. That's Ruth.
Okay. You haven't talked about it or?
Nope.
All right.
And look, I apologize, have we appointed the committee members yet?
No,
Maybe we should do that first.
you have to appoint the committee members, have a meeting, decide your schedule.
All right.
I do have a question, the solicitor. Last time around, we had 2 council members on the same 3 committees. Now we have 2 council members on the same 2 committees. Has the reduction in one solved the issue.
Those meetings will still have to be sunshined as both, right?
They probably would still have to be sunshine as both. That's, no, so we have not.
So it is not solved the issue that came up last time.
I apologize, can you remind me which committees have two of the same?
Yes, Chris Bell and Chris Berger were on 3 committees together.
Right,
Now they're on 2 committees together.
and those committees would be.
Finance and Streets.
Thank you. I mean,
Okay,
there's
do
a
you want
way
to
to
go?
avoid that issue, I think.
All right, so you want to go, so you don't want 2 people on the same committee?
All I'm saying is that you're gonna have a sunshine issue each time that they meet.
Because if Chris and Chris meet, we have to specify whether it's finance or streets or both.
And if it's a streets meeting and then they start talking about money, it becomes a finance meeting. So either every meeting has to be sunshined as both, or you're gonna be very limited in what you're talking about.
I'll be happy to stay on finance.
I mean, if you leave me on streets and you keep Chris Berger on building, that solves the problem, I think. But it is entirely up to you, Mayor.
So it's probably premature to discuss committees and meetings at this time.
Well, I think we need to set the committees.
We have had 2 people on the same committee in years past.
Not 3.
It's not 3. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I wasn't on the same committee with the same councilman on other
Other
committees.
committees, okay.
I don't think so.
All right, we're moving on.
Well, should we continue the current committee
We
assignments
did it,
for a while?
that motion was made the last time you did do it as until new committees are determined, so
We didn't specify 2 weeks
no. You did the first time, you didn't the second time, you just said
until such time as the committees are formally established.
So now we cannot have 2 people on the same 2
I'm not
committees.
saying you can't, I just think it does cause an issue. And I think Councilman Porter's question was, does it cause an issue? And it can.
Okay. So we'll stay on the same committees we had for the year 2023.
That would be a motion, right? That someone would be.
So Mike can make that motion.
I move that the committee assignments of 2023 be continued for 2024. Chairman of each committee to remain the same. So moved.
Do we have a second? Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Okay, so now,
So let's go through the committee assignments so we know what we're doing.
and the dates.
Right, yeah, and the dates. Well,
Okay,
now maybe we can set dates.
building, we have Canton and Bell. And what do you guys want?
Okay, does Wednesday at 8 o'clock work for you, the second Wednesday?
Not this Wednesday.
If we don't know the composition of the committees, why are we doing this?
Well, we just did.
It's continued, right?
2023 assignments are now valid for 2024.
So now the 2023 assignments are setting the agenda for 2024?
Yeah, the same committees are continuing.
We just on the same committee
Okay.
this year as we were last year.
But you have to change
have
the
to be
dates
done
though because of the deadline.
Well, we don't have to really pick the dates as to when you meet. You can figure that out and let us know.
Mhm.
All right. Motion to approve committees has been proposed and seconded.
It's already been voted on.
Voted on, we're done. Fiscal officer, you're up.
as you can see, there's a lot of legislation in this meeting. Typical of the annual NOPEC sponsorship grant as well as the NEC grant. In my report, I gave you the explanation for the budget amendments. However, today I did get the certificate of estimated resources from the county auditor. And if you recall, with the tax evaluation, and we're not going to collect everything on the road and bridge fund, I did have to make some last minute tweaks to increase street maintenance fund for more of a majority of that road program and decrease the road and bridge fund from paying that because the money won't be there because we're not making those collections. So it was just a tweak of how the money is, and Councilman Berger will address that when he does the ordinances. The other thing I had was you have the disclosure sheets, if you can complete those and get them to me for organizations you're involved in to make sure there's no conflicts. Also on the agenda is an ordinance to approve Prosecutor Coyne's agreement for 24 and 25. It was overlooked that we did not have an agreement with him for 2023, so we will need a motion under, I believe it's the Safety Committee is going to do a motion to ratify his services for 2023. But due to the fact that everybody overlooked that was outstanding, we have a form in the office that we put together, a spreadsheet of all the agreements the village has and when they expire. So we're going to share that document with all council members, so you should get it through your Google account, your southrussell.com account. So all committees can keep an eye on that, and you'll see when every agreement we have expires. So maybe that'll be helpful. And then lastly, with ADP going for the computer change, we spoke to them last week, and they let us know that the computers are coming in quicker than they anticipated, and hopefully we will get all that transferred over to ADP soon. The sooner the better, in our opinion. And I did want to thank the chief. He did a lot of work here last week we did change all the computer equipment. It's now in a locked storage cabinet, and you think it would be easy moving it from one cart to another cart, but it was quite the task, and it took a long time, and I do appreciate your hard work on that. So that's all I have.
Ethics training. Some of our, we're required to do this?
Every elected official, every term of office is required to take 3 hours of ethics training, or you can appoint a designee. Traditionally, elected officials have appointed me to take it on their behalf to make sure that it gets done. However, I always encourage you to take it yourself because it's very important and things change. But yes, so you and Councilman Berger and Canton started a new term, so you have to get this training or will be in violation.
Can the motion be made now?
Yep.
Okay, at this time, I would like council to consider and to vote to allow our fiscal officer to be the designate to do the training on council's behalf.
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay, 4-1?
Yeah.
Okay,
Will you also be moving,
motion passes. Please,
will you also be moving to appoint Danielle as the designee for the mayor? You did on behalf of council. Right? Doesn't the mayor also have to have the ethics training?
I move that the fiscal officer be the designee for the mayor's stead for the ethics training required of elected officials for 2024. So moved. Second.
discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes. Okay, looking at income, so we don't have an issue with Dennis Coyne. So we paid him last year, but we didn't.
We paid him, but you didn't give permission for him to be our prosecutor.
We didn't have an actual contract in place.
Looking at income tax, it's certainly, we started out the year 2023, we set 3 records, and then we kind of died down, and then we ended up setting a record in December, which I think is a typical fluctuation of income tax. But I did see that we are now at almost 2.5 million coming in on income tax every year, and it keeps growing up and up, so good for us.
So we don't know that will continue.
Yeah.
As more and more people are going back to the office, I do know people I know who were allowed to work from home 5 days, went to 3 days, and now they're back in the office full time. So as that happens, these could go down.
That's probably a
So we
trend
just
that
have to
will
be
continue as we go
watching,
on.
correct?
Definitely was a slowdown, and then all of a sudden we get a record and stuff. Okay, other questions of our fiscal officer?
Really fast, I'm curious if you received any phone calls or any communication. There was a little bit of a hullabaloo online, fancy word I know, a couple weeks ago. Some residents were saying that they got their property taxes and they were much higher than the original estimator was with the auditor's office, and they were pretty upset. I don't know if that was just a one-off of a few people or if you received a lot of phone calls.
I didn't receive any
No.
phone calls. I believe they were probably just going to the county auditor's office.
Okay.
Because we didn't get any phone calls.
I know the estimate for my house was off significantly. I'm
Much
not
higher.
sure why, but it was, because we're talking about math here. And I don't think I was alone. I think the mayor got a couple of emails or something. But the reality is the schools take 80% of it. And if taxes are to be decreased, that's the logical place to start.
One other thing, and also,
Or, oh, no. That thought would never occurred to me in my favor.
Will did say to the people out there watching, in the Homestead Exemption Act, there's one part that we did not get into the newsletter, that there's a $35,000 limit in there. I think a lot of people were trying to get the Homestead Exemption Act and found out that no, they did not qualify. So just another financial thing. All right, Finance Committee, we got a lot here.
Is that me?
It is
I can't see.
It's the old Chris.
What did you last year?
Okay. So, first things first, there's a finance committee meeting scheduled for the 15th of February, this Thursday, at 7:30 a.m. I don't know if that will continue to be the case, but we'll go with it at the moment.
That's my fault.
Nah, well.
Thanks, Chris.
It is what it is. Okay. In the last finance meeting, we interviewed a gentleman regarding grant writing. And the opportunity to hire him as an outside consultant to seek out and do grant writing and potentially follow that through to its conclusion, filing all the quarterly reports and doing everything depending on what we wanted of him. But I think it would be beneficial from a council perspective if in all of the committee meetings for March that you consider what opportunities you would like to pursue relative to grants. That if we're going to hire this individual and pay them an hourly rate plus a monthly fee, that we should know what it is that we want that individual to go after. And the only way we're going to know that is if the committees provide us with that information so that we can make a list and then decide if there's enough work out there that would justify the expenses of this individual for what they potentially could get us in terms of state and local grants. So I put that out for your consideration. And we will wait to hear from all the committees on that. As I look at the list here, I'm assuming that we need to make a motion to make a contribution in the amount of $250 to OML for the purposes of advocacy work for them.
Moved.
Moved.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion passes.
We need a motion, we have a motion to acknowledge that there has been a review of the December 2023 and January 2024 financial reports, and they are acceptable to the Finance Committee, and we would recommend that council approve them, or acknowledge them, acknowledge them. So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Motion to approve amending the certificate of estimated resources, increasing safety fund revenue $95,000 and Bell Road East Fund revenue $70,000. So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Motion to approve the fiscal officer to complete and submit the application for real property tax exemption for 1208 Bell Road. That's the corner lot. So moved.
Second.
Discussion. We've paid over $3,000 for that taxes this year?
We pay the taxes and then we, do the paperwork, apply to the county. Once they send it to the state, then the state, if they approve it, we'll get refunded.
Thank you.
And it's a long process, so hopefully it'll get approved by the end of the year.
Danielle, does 1208 cease to exist as an address in the village?
No, it's still the address.
If the merge wants.
Yeah, you have to do a merge process through,
Postal Service.
Planning commission.
planning commission, yeah, to
Just
do
to
that,
consolidate
if you so want to. I mean, if you would think, the only reason that it would make sense is if at some future point you decide that you want to build across the property line some structure and you want it all to be on one plot as opposed to two different ones. But
It just occurs to me that a future council
Yeah.
could decide to sell that lot.
Mhm.
True.
No, and that would be the second reason not to go forward with merging the properties.
Perhaps I could bring this up at planning commission as an issue.
Good one.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would make sense. Thank you, Mark.
Okay, we are at the motion for 1208 Bell. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes.
That concludes the report, subject to Councilman Galicki's comments.
Nothing further, Chris.
Thank you.
The Chagrin River Watershed Partner dues, did we already do that?
Oh, we do that annually. It was in the budget,
We did that already, yeah.
so it was okay.
Okay,
It will be, I guess. It will be done, or it has been done.
I don't think you have to vote on it. It's our annual membership dues that was in
I
the,
mean, has the request already come in, the renewal for the membership?
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, one other quick note. When we get to the bills list, the bills list of 12/30/2023 will have to be pushed again, as we have two abstentions and we have an absence, so we do not have a quorum without that. And then I'm aware that we have another council member who's going to be absent for the next two council meetings. So it appears that we will approve that sometime in May.
But that would, Mark, when you're going out of town, like if we could figure out, we may have to have a special council meeting, because that's an appropriation amendment, and I don't want to really wait till the end of March.
I'll leave for 6 days on the 25th of February. I'll be back the 1st of March.
So I think Ruth will be back before the 25th.
Ruth will be back for the next council meeting.
Well,
We still have the same number.
Yeah, the Mark misses.
That one is will be third
If it's
reading.
third reading, you can do
Right.
it.
Okay.
And I'm out of town the 9th of March until the 15th we get back.
Okay, so you'll miss the 11th also.
Yes.
You're gonna be, you are here for the 26th, or you're not?
Not.
You're missing the next two.
Right.
Okay, got it,
But I'll be here when you're absent, in late March.
got it, okay. Okay, as the consultant agreement with the grant writer,
Yes.
I had the solicitor take a look at it, she's got some issues. So we will just hold until we see if we're gonna have a need for this person.
Well, yeah, I don't think there's any reason to get excited about a contract if we're not intending to go forward.
Okay.
So, but I think we should hear from the committees on that.
I can't say that Danielle and Tim and I were gonna look at a grant to tear down the salt dome today, but it was due Thursday and it was just not feasible. But maybe this person could have helped. Solicitor,
Yes.
floor is yours.
So just wanted to report that in fact, the governor did sign the bill and the village will be able to, a threshold for competitive bidding will be $75,000. And then it will increase each year thereafter by 3%. But this does not go into effect until April 30th. So right now, we're still at the $50,000 threshold. That's it.
All right, questions of the solicitor? Hearing none, the engineer.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, the visitors portion of tonight's meeting was interesting and eye-opening. There's clearly a couple of different opinions that are very strongly toward one side or the other of expanding our bicycle friendliness as a community and our pedestrian accessibility as a community. Several months ago, I think it was the Streets Committee asked me to put together a just 35,000 foot looking down estimate of what would it cost what are the construction costs to build a sidewalk from basically the corner of Chillicothe and Bell all the way to the Chagrin Falls Park line. And the construction cost I came up with was $1 million, give or take. And it had some notable exceptions in there. Some of the exceptions were, we're gonna have to cross a couple of streams. The structures and the routes to cross those streams are not included in that estimate, because the cost of those things, depending on how we go about them or how we need to go about them, can vary pretty wildly. And I didn't even want to take a stab at saying, well, each crossing could be anywhere from 10,000 to 100,000. That's kind of a useless estimate. The other notable exception was right-of-way and easement acquisition, of which we certainly will need some. There's a good chance that if sidewalks, a 5-foot concrete sidewalk, is the winning idea of the day, there's a good chance we can fit most of that in the existing Bell Road right-of-way. Yes, it will be very close to the ditch, and yes, it will be near the edge of the pavement. I don't know if that is a real, is what I'm hearing from the people who are in support of those enhanced bicycle and pedestrian features. I don't know if that's something that will necessarily satisfy what they're looking for. If we, in a sidewalk, as Councilman Gulick very adeptly pointed out, is very different from a multi-purpose path. A sidewalk is 5 feet wide and has ADA accessibility points, and that's what it is. However, a sidewalk also is not for biking. A sidewalk is for pedestrians. If you want to ride your bike and there's a sidewalk, you don't ride it on the sidewalk, you ride it on the road. If we're looking for more of a multi-purpose path, yeah, then the width of that goes up more than double from a sidewalk. We will certainly need right-of-way / easements all the way down, because there's not enough room to fit a multi-purpose path from Chillicothe and Bell all the way to the Chagrin Falls line without acquiring easements and right-of-ways from the properties that are affected. The stream and culvert crossings still apply to that as well. Several years ago, we looked at, or I brought up the idea when we were talking about future planning of utilizing the old interurban rail right-of-way for a multi-purpose path. There's so many pitfalls involved in that it's kind of hey, that's a great idea, that's super neat, but it's not something that's based in reality. The reality of that situation is the old interurban railway had its own right-of-way along what amounts to our southern border between South Russell and Bainbridge. So that would run behind like Morningside. It would run behind Sunridge, it would run behind Kensington Green, it would cross Bell, run behind south of Shearbrook, and ultimately go to the park and continue on westward for as far as you wanted to do it. That right of way, I can't even tell you when that was vacated, and all of those sections of that former right-of-way were divvied up and attached to all of the parcels that abut and front that right-of-way. It doesn't exist anymore, so if we were looking to reestablish that, boy, it would be a long and difficult challenge to reestablish a right-of-way, well, let's say 20-foot right-of-way for a multi-purpose trail there. But if we're looking at establishing a multi-purpose trail along Bell, you're going to have the same right-of-way issues and right-of-way/easement acquisition issues as you would there. One of the folks in the audience brought up, do we have like a master plan of like how we could accommodate expanded bicycle and pedestrian accessibility issues here in the village? And the answer is no. Could we develop one? Sure. That would be my recommendation, and this is without having any of my, pie in the sky dreamers and planners that work at CT, who do this kind of thing every day. It would be my recommendation is that if we're looking at a really serious east-west corridor through the village for pedestrians and bicycles, that we maybe look along the interurban path on our southern border between Bainbridge and South Russell as that east-west corridor, rather than trying to squeeze something along Bell Road, because we're going to encounter much of the same right-of-way and easement issues anyhow. So that's just some food for thought.
To your point, Eric, you basically indicated though that the old right-of-way was divvied up.
It's
and
not there
now
anymore.
people's personal property.
Yeah.
Okay, so we would have to acquire those parcels.
Absolutely.
As well as get the buy-in from the property owner to have potentially a public path go through their backyard.
Correct.
And it doesn't serve the residents on the north side of Bell.
No, but it would be great to have a path that went to the park.
Phenomenal from the south side, but now you gotta come up with a path on the north side to address those.
Or give each of the main subdivision access points a crossing that if you want to get from your little neighborhood on the north side of Bell, here's a way to get to the south side of Bell and onto that path. Crosswalks.
Novel idea.
And really quick, you wouldn't have to purchase the parcels, you would just be purchasing easements.
Correct. Either purchasing easements or right of way. I mean, the purchase price for an easement, the purchase price for right of way is
Right.
the same.
Or you would be necessarily purchasing the whole parcel.
No, you'd be purchasing, a 20-foot wide section at the back end of several dozens and dozens of parcels. The same way that you would be purchasing the same amount of land off the front end of dozens and dozens and dozens of parcels along Bell Road. So I think that it was a very astute observation of the gentleman in the audience who said, maybe we should have a plan where we really consider what all of our options are before we start, moving down one path or another, so to speak. I think that's a worthwhile look. Just my 2 cents.
I remember how long it took the towpath to come to fruition.
Yeah.
And the last, I don't know, half mile took the longest. Because they wound up buying the property because the owners wouldn't give them an easement. The owners basically held them up for the maximum dollar value they could possibly get for broken down buildings and abandoned property. And that was, the point is, one easement denied anywhere in the middle of that section means you just wasted all kinds of money buying the other easements.
Yes and no. You could make that same argument of the park, and the parcels that we purchased to put together the park, and there were a lot of people. I was around then, and I remember there were a lot of people who were like, "Oh, this is the best idea ever," and we're a community. This is a colossal waste of dollars. Like, why are we spending taxpayer dollars on this? I think now that it's there, if you said, you were right, we're going to break the park up and we're going to sell it, put a subdivision there, I don't think that would go over well at this point. And two, just to play the devil's advocate, or someone who's on the other side of your observation that, yeah, 1 or 2 or 10 people that we need easements from or right of way from could, be the fly in the ointment and foul up the whole project. This is not a let's get this together and do it next year kind of project. This is more of a, let's build a land bank or an easement bank or a right-of-way bank, if you will, that goes from administration to administration to administration until it's all done. Kind of the beauty of having this at the southern, it's basically sharing a line with South Russell and Bainbridge. Who's to say that, the family on the north side or the 2 or 3 families on the north side are holdouts and they're not going to give us a right of way until, they're dead and gone and their children are dead and gone. Pursue right of way from Bainbridge or the property owners that are in Bainbridge. And okay, the path isn't a perfect dead end straight line, but it, could hop over into Bainbridge if necessary, all along that same line. I think having it on the court line increases our likelihood of being able to get a path through there.
Probably.
It also increases our likeliness of, we were talking about, hiring someone to look for grant money, but ODNR and there's also all sorts of folks that are organizations that have money available for construction of trails. If it serves more than one community, which in this case it literally would be on the boundary of South Russell and Bainbridge, and could and very, very likely would pick up subdivisions in Bainbridge, such as Wembley and Lake in the Woods and those communities. That would also abut that trail, that you would be more likely in securing grant funding because it benefits more than one political subdivision.
I like the idea of the long-term plan, but I've been on council along with Bill long enough to know that this is the 20th anniversary of the stormwater study. And we have one remaining task in the stormwater study, as I recall.
Mm-hmm.
And we controlled most of the property
Correct.
required for the stormwater abatement.
Mm-hmm.
Got to think strategically, not technically.
But indeed, this is a long-term vision, and it won't be done tomorrow.
Probably won't be done in my lifetime, or as my tenure as your engineer. But I don't know, if we have a plan, if we have a master plan that says, this is where these facilities should go if we want them. That's a good step, and there are gonna be some people who sign up right away. Yeah, I want it, that would be fantastic for my kids. I'll give you that 20 feet in my backyard. Collect those and just bank them, because given enough time and enough persistence and enough, I guess, perceived need by the community, you'll get them eventually.
The last one was the most important by far.
Yeah. So just my thoughts on that. The only other thing I had to say was Streets Committee met. We put together a bid package for the 2024 road program. I'm currently working on getting everything together for that now. We're having Southwick at an estimated construction cost of $360,000 as our base bid. Our alternates, we want to advertise 2 alternates. Countryside with an estimated construction cost of $185,000, and Reserve with an estimated construction cost of $165,000. That's where we landed on with Streets Committee. So looking forward to getting all those together and getting them out to bid early, so we can hopefully capitalize on some while we're putting our schedules together type of thing from the contractors, get good prices from them. So that's all I've got, barring any questions, comments from council.
Hearing none. The street commissioner is home with COVID, so street committee, you're on.
Okay, the street committee met on February 2nd. We can just hop right on what Eric finished off on, is the roads program. We have budgeted $350,000 for 2024. Our estimate for Southwick is slightly over that, about $7,000, but we don't know until the bids come back. So, it's my understanding Southwick is in desperate need of paving.
Yeah.
And so we'd like to make that our primary bid, see how that comes back. And then as the engineer noted, Countryside and Reserve Trail is a secondary bid, see how they come back. Obviously, this is not a commitment to pave these roads, but these are the ones we believe would be best interest to look at this year, if they come back.
Did you want to make that motion, Chris?
Sure.
We'll start with the other ones.
I'll do this. Motion to go out to bid for the 2024 road program with Southwick Drive as the base bid and Countryside Drive and Reserve Trail as alternate bids.
Moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Second issue we had come up in streets was, my notes are somewhere on this table. They're right on top, go figure. We bought a salt truck in 2020, and it was a demo truck, I understand, that we purchased, even though it had some little use on it, because there was such a long wait for another truck to come in. The hydraulic unit that the company sold it to us, I should say, that they put on there was, turns out it's a brand or a model that has a bad reputation in the industry, and it's failing. And so we need to look into replacing that. The street commissioner's gotten a quote for $14,675 to replace that, the arm air system. He has done quite a bit of due diligence going out to other service directors, meeting with other companies. He's supposed to represent from the company who manufactured the faulty one, did not show up to the scheduled meeting. And so we believe we could take that from the vehicle maintenance budget this year. But since it's quite a bit of money, we should make a motion for that for council. Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to approve $14,675 for repair of the 2020 salt truck hydraulics.
Second.
Discussion. Whoop.
This is in the budget, Danielle, for maintenance, vehicle maintenance?
I believe Tim said it was, but.
He had like 30 and this is about half of it.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Eric, I like your idea of the interurban. It's interesting. Big picture, community changing idea.
It's a dream.
Well, yeah, it would be a multi, I don't think it, maybe not even be in my lifetime, but it'd be community changing for sure. I like it. Right now, I don't have a date for you for the next meeting because everything got thrown up in the air. So we'll get back to you. We'll sunshine that when we find out. That's canceled. Isn't the third one canceled, the one for the Ohio Senate?
I don't know, I think there is it, Mayor? Isn't this the Ohio Senate one, the one to build the salt dome, and the one we discussed this morning was to
raise
tear
it?
down the old
We were
one?
trying to get a grant to tear it down.
This is the building one, I
Tim's
believe.
after one to build it.
Right, so this is the one we want to make.
Is this through Johnson Locks, whatever? or-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not committed to anything.
Right. Do you want to explain the Johnson Locks theory?
Yes, that, there are grants available from the state for the purposes of infrastructure improvement, which would include building a new salt dome for South Russell. And the state Senate has a pool of money that it divvies out based on need and location, and number of people served. We're on the low end of the number of people served, but we are on the high end of the need because of the failing foundation. So if we are awarded this grant, it will go a long way to reducing the cost to the village of the building of the salt dome by like $400,000 approximately, cuts it in half almost. So we can apply for this, see if we get it, but I don't think we want to wait on word of this grant before we proceed with building, tear down the old one and build the new one. I mean, we don't want to be in a situation like the restroom for the park, where we were hoping for the grant, and then the manufacturer jacked the price on us unexpectedly. So that's kind of how we're thinking of this.
Do we have any questions about it, or just go to motion? All right.
What's this grant, what's the deadline on that one? Because do you have any idea?
He said March or April is when.
Okay,
It's coming up, it's
so you got
March
some
or April, I think it's
the capital
early April.
grant. Okay, all right. It's been moved and.
I have to make the motion. Motion to approve the Ohio Senate Capital Budget 2024 grant application for the Salt Dome.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes.
I'm going to find it.
Anything else on the street committee?
No, nothing else.
Building committee,
Yeah, I'm gonna ask for clarification if I may.
Absolutely.
Okay. We just voted to continue membership of the committees from 23 into 24, is that correct?
yes.
Okay, what about the chairs? Do they stay
They
the
stay
same?
the same.
Same.
So therefore, you're the chair of the building.
And you win again.
You know, this was all Mark's plan, because he wants me to take the minutes and streets.
There are a number of conspirators here.
My question is,
Yes, sir.
we meet in February. Is this coming Friday good for you?
Can we talk after the meeting by chance? So, can we talk after the meeting?
Yeah.
So I don't have to make my whole schedule public to the
Okay.
whole community on YouTube.
Okay.
Other than that, we have not met since our
No,
last
we
council
haven't
meeting.
met. No.
I thought I was bidding you adieu, but I guess not.
Mhm.
2 more years of Jerry and Chris. We have nothing to report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Questions of the building committee? Hearing none, chief, you're up.
I submitted a month-end report, and I have nothing further, unless you have questions.
Chief, I thought the people here tonight, we heard from all angles, all opinions, and just nice and polite.
It was very nice.
Any questions of the police chief? Hearing none, we're at the safety committee.
Thank you, Mayor. Is it possible for safety to meet on Friday, the 16th at 9 a.m.? For February, is it possible?
Just this month?
Yeah. And then we'll set a date for March and onward. Dennis?
Yeah, I think that should be okay.
Okay, fine. So our next safety meeting will be on Friday, February 16th at 9 a.m. at the police station. I have 2 motions to make. At this time, I would make a motion to ratify the performance of Dennis Coyne's police prosecutor services for 2023.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, second motion to approve the following South Russell Police Department events. Cops and Kids Fishing on Sunday, June the 2nd, 2024, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Bike Rodeo on Sunday, June 30th, 2024, from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. And Wheels and Shields Touch a Truck on Sunday, July 14th, 2024, from 9 a.m. until noon.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Is this Wheels and Shields, is that new?
It is, it's going to take the place of the car show. We're not moving forward with the car show this year.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a huge, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, is Wheels and Shields though through the police department?
Gonna be through the
Okay.
village, the police department, so the association, it's difficult to sustain the amount of work that goes into the car show, and, you know, we're trying to restructure, it's a lot of work, homework.
What will Wheels and Shields and?
So that's gonna consist of
So it's still
safety
people.
vehicles,
Okay.
fire vehicles, tow trucks, things like that, so you'll have, you know, the highway patrol, the sheriff's department, we're gonna have a variety of different public safety vehicles, that it gets to check out, and more or less like an open house, similar to what we used to do before the car show.
Will there be badges?
Will the badge, I think?
Will there be badges?
Okay.
We don't need
Did we get a second on that?
Not yet.
Okay.
No, yes, we did.
Who was it?
Dennis seconded.
So may I
We haven't
add,
voted yet.
We need permission to use the campus on 2 of those dates. For the bike rodeo on June 30th, need the village campus, and also for the Touch a Truck event, July 14th.
All right, let's finish this motion to approve these 3 events. All those in favor of the 3 events listed, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion passes, and now Jerry will do motions to use the campus for the bike rodeo and the Wheels and Shields truck to approve the use of the campus.
Okay, this time I make a motion that council votes and approves to give the police, our safety forces, the right to promote Wheels and Shields and Touch a Truck.
Second.
And the bike rodeo.
And the bike rodeo on our property.
Second.
Moved and discussed. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, you got the 2 locations too. Questions of the safety committee?
Where's the fishing this year?
Fishing,
We are hopefully getting permission from Lake Louise. They haven't had their homeowners meeting yet, but we got a tentative yes.
Okay.
Same as last year.
and you've shortened the hours, which is nice.
Yeah.
Good, yes.
Go along.
Yep. Okay, HR committee.
I guess in the absence of the chair, I will report that, as you saw in the meeting notes, we did have a meeting on January 30th with the employees on duty at the time to discuss the handbook. There were a few issues discussed and everyone seemed to be okay with the changes that have been made, and so we are moving forward with that. It is the goal of HR for this year that we will review all of the job descriptions, excuse me, for all the employees. And so we'll get started on that when Councilwoman Kavanaugh comes back. Thank you.
Questions of the HR committee? All right, Jerry, you're back. Property committee.
Thank you. Once again, due to the chair's absence, I will report on properties and parks. The Rarick Cemetery railing, I understand we need 3 quotes for it. Is that true?
Generally.
Okay, we're not there yet?
I only saw the one.
Yeah, I saw the one.
I didn't.
So, okay, so that's still in progress.
Yep.
Okay, let's see, properties, the next time we will meet will be on February 29th at 3:15 at the hall. And then at that time, we will have a date, a monthly date and time, so from that time forward.
Questions of the property committee? All right, Parks committee.
Okay, parks. Calendar for the fall festival. A motion to block off dates for the fall festival on the parks calendar. Now, September seems to be the right time to have this festival. So we block every Sunday in September until we find out a certain professional football team schedule.
You want the dates? We probably should do the dates.
The dates?
8, 15, 22, and 29. We don't want Labor Day weekend.
Okay,
8, 15, 22, and 29.
8, 15, 22, and 29. Those would be the dates in September. And we'll need a date in case of a rainout.
Well, if you have.
Be the following weekend.
Do you want to do, I mean, you're blocking off all Sundays in September except for Labor Day. right?
Correct, so it'll be the following, whatever.
So it's the 15th and you go to the 22nd for
Correct.
a rain date or vice versa?
Correct. Okay.
Only if the Browns are wet.
Do we have a second on
Or
that?
afternoon game.
Or Thursday night?
Second.
Second, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes.
Okay, and motion to approve Chagrin Falls Middle School track,
Cross country. It should be cross country.
should be cross country?
Yes.
Okay, Chagrin Falls Middle School cross country meets on Tuesday, September 17th, 2024, and Tuesday, October the 1st, 2024, from 3:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the South Russell Village Park to waive pavilion reservation fee.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. All right, thank you, Councilman. Public utilities.
Thank you. Public utilities met, the meeting minutes are in your packet. We continue to look at solar panels, and we are awaiting 3 different proposals, one of which we now have, I'm told, but we're waiting for 2 other proposals and then we'll decide. Our next meeting is scheduled for March 2nd at 9 a.m. and I think that will have to be rescheduled for.
Is the second a Saturday?
I thought I had March 2nd as a Friday. Did I miss that?
It's a Saturday.
I'm sorry, March 1st.
I'm back March 1st.
Oh, okay, well.
So the second will work fine if you want to.
All right, we'll talk about that, but that's our intention is for 9 a.m.
Is there a special meeting coming up on the 23rd of February for public utilities? Does that ring a bell?
Yes, there's a,
Stormwater.
there's a meeting.
Is that stormwater?
It's for the MS4.
Oh,
I think the only, think that Bruce Griswold will submit some information. Tim does most of it. Spring River Watershed Partners do most of it. I don't think any councilmen have ever attended.
What date is that?
That's on the 23rd, Friday the 23rd at 9 o'clock.
Well, I think it's advertised as a special public utilities meeting.
We advertise it that way because we didn't know the committee was attending or not attending.
I mean, I can make that. We want to
So
make
can I-
that as our next meeting.
Yep. We'll make that the meeting.
It could be a waste of your time.
Well, then we'll go sit in the corner and do this public utilities.
Sounds good. Questions of the Public Utilities Committee? Anything else?
Just one thing, I got a email from Daniel Wise earlier today, and I'll share it with the mayor and Councilman Berger. It is a new proposal regarding solar for the village, and to put it mildly, it's bold. Basically, it's a federal grant for $2 million with no village share. However, the cost of the project has to be at least $2 million. Your federal government at work. And this would require potentially a ground-based array, replacing every police vehicle with an EV, and putting solar panels and battery capacity and public charging stations on village property. The committee will hear the proposal from Mr. Wise and report back. But it gives you a totally free solar system on village property at no cost to the village.
Does that have to be public access or is that for the police vehicles?
It is a public access charging station, 1 or 2, I suppose. I guess my main concern right now is, well, other than how dramatic this is, whether the chief is really interested in EVs and not electric with a hybrid option.
EVs crapping out in the winter.
Yeah, EVs are a challenge, especially for all of the equipment that goes into the police vehicles, all the electronic equipment. But the hybrid for us has been phenomenal. Unfortunately, we just couldn't get one the last 2 rounds. They will be available again in 2025 though.
So there are lots of things to hear about because of the size of this project, and I kind of object to the idea we just up the project until we qualify for the grant, but such a thing for no cost to the village would be hard to go by without hearing more. So I'll invite Mr. Wise to the 23rd meeting, Chairman, and we'll see what he has to say. It sounds way too good to be true, so.
We'll wait to hear the details.
Yes.
Anything else on the public utilities?
No, that's it.
Okay, one other thing, Mark and I will meet with the mayors of Moreland Hills, and Chagrin Falls. They are way ahead of us as far as their solar panels, and just try to get hints and advice. Eric, I don't know if it's something you would want to attend also. There probably won't be till mid-March. But we're gonna
Keep me posted.
Okay, figure out, how they got to where they are. All right, we are at ordinances, resolutions, and we have quite a few.
Chris, you want me to take the first one?
Yes, please.
All right. I'd like to have a second reading on an ordinance amending the 2024 annual appropriations, increasing Manor Brook expenses $58,728.44. Second reading.
Okay, next.
Introduce and consider for adoption an ordinance amending the 2024 annual appropriations, increasing general fund expenses $35,000 even, decreasing building department salaries and benefits $7,462, increasing building department other expenses $7,462, increasing street maintenance expenses $210,000 even, increased safety fund salary and benefit expense $95,000 even, increased safety fund other expenses $2,065, increasing ARPA fund expenses $22,542.09, and decreasing road and bridge fund expenses $90,000 even, declaring an emergency and waive further readings.
Second.
Roll call.
Canton.
Aye.
Gallicki.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye, move to adopt.
Second.
Canton.
Aye.
Gallicki.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Yeah.
Berger.
Aye.
Ordinance approved. Chris, you want to?
Okay, introduce and consider for adoption an ordinance increasing the transfer from the income tax fund to the special land and building fund $79,843.98, and decreasing the transfer from the income tax fund to the street maintenance fund $79,843.98, declaring an emergency, waive further readings.
Second.
Roll call.
Canton.
Aye.
Gallicki.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye, move to adopt.
Second.
Canton.
Aye.
Gallicki.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Ordinance passes.
Introduce and consider for adoption an ordinance employing USI Midwest LLC as an insurance agent for the Village of South Russell, declaring an emergency, waive further readings.
Second.
Roll call.
Canton.
Aye.
Gallicki.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye, move to adopt.
Second.
Canton.
Aye.
Gallicki.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Ordinance passes.
Introduce and consider for adoption an ordinance authorizing the 2024 property and casualty insurance with Public Entities Pool of Ohio, declaring an emergency, waive further readings.
Second.
Roll call.
Canton.
Aye.
Gallicki.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye, move to adopt.
Second.
Canton.
Aye.
Gallicki.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Ordinance passes. Mr. Canton, switch.
Introduce and consider for adoption an ordinance authorizing all actions necessary to accept Northeast Ohio Public Energy Council 2024 and address community grant funds and declaring an emergency and suspend further readings.
Second.
Roll call.
Canton.
Aye.
Gallicki.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Canton.
Aye.
Gallicki.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Ordinance passes.
Introduce and consider for adoption an ordinance authorizing the fiscal officer to apply for and accept NOPEC grant funds for the 2024 Community Event Sponsorship Program on behalf of the Village of South Russell, declaring an emergency and suspend further readings.
Second.
Roll call.
Canton.
Aye.
Gallicki.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Ordinance passes.
No.
Wait.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
I'm ready to go home.
Canton.
Aye.
Gallicki.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Ordinance passes. This next one is getting rid of property. Some of it was personal equipment, not personal, physical equipment and Computers. Somebody want to do that one?
Sure. I'll introduce Consider for adoption a resolution authorizing the sale of personal property not needed by the village and declaring an emergency.
Second.
Roll call.
You waiving readings?
Move to waive reading.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Second.
Canton.
Aye.
Licky.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Canton.
Aye.
Licky.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Resolution passes. This next one's, yes, because it's a building issue.
Introduce and consider for adoption an ordinance authorizing the mayor and fiscal officer of the village of South Russell to enter into contract with Dennis M. Coyne Esquire to provide chief prosecutor services for 2024 and 2025 and declaring an emergency.
Second.
Move to waive reading.
Waive reading.
Would waive.
Second.
Suspend further readings.
Canton.
Aye.
Licky.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
One note,
Move to adopt.
$110 per hour
Mhm.
is a deal.
Good deal.
Not that we're implying anything, Bryden.
Well, some people consider it.
Canton.
Aye.
Licky.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Ordinance passes. Jerry, do the last one. Building.
Okay.
It was a
Yes.
split, it was combined and then we
To
split.
introduce and consider for adoption a resolution of appreciation for Steve Lecker.
Second.
You want to do
Are
3
you
readings?
waiving readings or?
Waive readings.
Did you move?
We're gonna waive.
My question is this, if we do 3 readings, then, Ruth will be here to sign the legislation, so could we just introduce it at this meeting?
Withdraw my second.
Could Ruth sign it when she returned?
Could she?
Yeah, she should.
Okay.
So there's no need to wait till
Okay,
she's here to
that's
vote, so.
We suspend.
He's waiving readings.
Waive readings. Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Canton.
Aye.
Licky.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Move to adopt.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Canton.
Aye.
Licky.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Resolution passes. We have the bills list. We have two, just one.
We cannot vote on the first one, so motion to approve the bills list of January 30th, 2024 in the amount of $99,809.79.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. We are at new other.
You are Canton.
Yes, at this time, I am requesting the council vote and approve the absence of Councilman Porter on council meetings of February 26th and March 11th.
Second?
Yeah.
So moved.
Ben second.
Seconded.
All those in, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Abstain.
abstained. Motion passes.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Licky.
None.
Porter.
Nothing.
Bell.
No.
Berger.
None.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we are adjourned at 9:48.
8:48.
8:48. Ready to go home.